I'd like to acknowledge that this episode of the Teach New South Wales podcast was recorded on the homelands of the Darug people. I'd like to pay respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening today. Welcome to the Teach New South Wales podcast, a podcast by teachers for teachers.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Teach New South Wales podcast. You are joining us again, your co-host, myself Shannon and
Siobhan, hello.
And today we have a very special guest. We'd like to welcome Adam to the couch.
Hello.
Now Adam is a Student Learning and Support Officer, which you may hear being referred to as an SLSO in a school for specific purposes or an SSP, just in case, we just really wanted to dive right in with the acronyms. He works at a hospital school to support the educational services for students who are inpatients in hospital. Here he is today to talk about how he has changed careers to become a teacher and talk a little bit about what it's like to work as an SLSO while studying your initial teacher education degree.
Yes, correct.
Fantastic. So we love to warm up our guests, make them feel comfortable before we dive into the nitty-gritty. So I'll hand over to Siobhan.
Yeah, Adam, we'd love to know from you, what are you currently reading, watching or listening to? Anything that's on the rotation?
So I am currently watching a Korean drama.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yes, my housemate is Korean and I'm obsessed. Since
Great.
pretty much COVID times, I've been obsessed with Korean dramas. So at the moment I'm watching one called The Glory. So that's the one that's what I'm obsessed with at the moment.
So my question to you is, do you watch it dubbed, so with the terrible accents over the top from the actors, or do you watch it with subtitles?
Oh, no, actually, sorry. I watch it with subtitles because I actually prefer listening to the original language.
I'm the same. When I was watching back in Squid Game's era, I would have to watch it with the actors' voices, the real actors' voices and the subtitles, because I felt the dubbing just didn't really, it took away from the effect.
Didn't match
took
at
away
all.
from the effect.
Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm listening to or watching at the moment. Yeah.
Excellent.
Are you reading anything or listening to anything at the moment?
No. My reading is pretty much university at the moment.
Oh, so that's very fair,
That's pretty much what I'm reading.
Current research.
We
love.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. We love this question, Shannon and I. If you could go to dinner with any influential person, they could be dead or alive, and they're paying, don't worry, who would it be?
You know what? I'm just going to be just go back to my 2000s musical roots.
Yeah.
I love Kylie Minogue.
She's an icon.
Great music. I'm sure she's bubbly, just like me.
Yeah.
And so I think I would go to dinner with her.
Amazing. We haven't had Kylie Minogue mentioned yet. So that's a really good one. I love that. And what about, do you have a hobby or special interest going at the moment?
Yes.
Tell.
Yeah. So recently I went overseas. I went to Japan and Hong Kong.
Beautiful.
And since I came back, I was obsessed with taking photos of photography, video content, that kind of thing.
Nice.
So, I'm dipping my toes into the water there with photography.
Amazing. Creative outlet.
Exactly.
Got a content creater in the house.
You can teach us a thing or two, no doubt.
I'm sure you can teach me. I'm just the beginner.
Oh, well, that's so exciting. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your life. I'm interested personally, what are you studying at university?
So a Bachelor of Education, K to 6.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm studying at the moment online at the University of New England.
Excellent.
So,
Well, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your story because, as we mentioned in the introduction, you're actually a career changer.
Yes.
So you were working in tourism and then you were working for Qantas.
Yes.
And then tell us a little bit about how you took the pivot, made the pivot into studying to become a teacher.
Yeah, so it was a long story, but essentially in 2019, I think it was, and I was sort of not really being fulfilled with the position that I was in. It didn't align with the values that the values that I have. And so essentially I was searching and looking into something a bit different that was, I guess, fulfilled those values and fulfilled kind of what I wanted to do and make a difference. And then I got stood down for a whole year due to COVID.
Yeah.
And in that time I said, look, I decided to make the change. I've got all this time in the world. Why not? Now is the time to make the change. So I enrolled, and that's essentially it. For me, the decision to make the move into teaching probably was one from when I left school initially. I always wanted to make a difference, always wanted to teach, but for whatever reason, I just didn't go down that road initially.
Yeah.
It was pretty much I kind of fell into what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just took your time to come around.
Exactly.
Find your way. That's all right.
Exactly.
We don't all know what we want to do at 17 or know which way about to, how we get there.
Yeah. And I think the people around you as well kind of influence that decision. So for me, I wish I kind of just stuck to what I wanted to do and
followed your heart.
And followed my heart. And then I got to this, 35 and I was like, okay, well, what's next? What can I do? And I kind of, that thought kept coming back, what did you want to do? You left school, you wanted to be a teacher. So that's initially what kind of drove my transition into becoming a teacher now. So yeah, I think, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made. So yeah.
So, Adam, you're currently working as an SLSO in a hospital school. For our viewers who might not be familiar with the fact that the department even has schools such as hospital schools and other types of SSPs, could you just expand a bit for us on what a hospital school actually is? Who do they service? What goes on behind those four walls?
Sure. So, obviously, when I first began this teaching journey, I didn't actually know what a hospital school was either. So a hospital school is a Department of Education school that is located within a hospital setting and provides education to anybody, any sick or ill children. For us, it also includes siblings as well.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, as well. So for us, I guess our setting is high school, primary, and we have ward teaching as well.
Okay.
And we have teachers that sort of teach bedside within the hospital as well. So I guess we have 10 of those, 10, I believe.
Hospital schools, in New South Wales.
And the hospital school at Westmead is one of the bigger ones. So we have a lot of ground to cover in that hospital. So, yeah.
Wow. And I imagine that, there's that whole focus on everyday matters, like attendance at schools and attendance, in school
general.
every day in general for our students. But you tapped into there how it can also look like, teaching their siblings.
Yeah.
Because, these families, it's not even, I can't even fathom having to leave behind your support system when you have a sick child to come into hospital. How does, the hospital school facilitate that everyday matters and support our students to continue their learning?
So for us, we believe that everybody in New South Wales, every child has the right to an education. So using that philosophy, we provide these students with, we transition back to school. We are in contact with their school as well to see where they're at.
So they're homeschooled,
essentially. We're in constant contact. So for us, that's how we provide this education, this service to those children. And I guess that includes, like I mentioned, the siblings as well. The siblings are travelling in from interstate or within the state. And they are looked after as well. They're provided with the same education as what they would if they were in a mainstream school. So it's basically about them not missing out and meeting them where they're at, basically.
And that continuity of their learning.
Exactly.
And do you work alongside students who are there for quite a significant period of time, or are there short sort of stays? Is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. We have students that are only there for a week.
Right.
And we will jump in. They will either, if they're able to, come to class. Otherwise, they get ward lessons. And some have been there for years.
Wow.
So some in and out.
Yeah.
But this might be their main school that they attend because that's just a part of their health journey.
Yeah.
And that's how ultimately within that health journey, the component of that is to come to school.
Yeah.
So.
And do you feel like you get to know, obviously, them as well as their families? What does that look like for you when you have those long stay students? How do you get to know their families as well?
Well, sometimes they may not have that, have their family. Sometimes it may be a carer.
Okay.
In that position.
Yeah.
But families are involved with all aspects of our school community. So they, whether it be the pickup after school, it's just like a normal school. They come down. We actually also provide a walking bus.
Cool.
Wow, okay.
Yes, so to and from Ronald McDonald House.
Yep.
That's where most of the families live.
Yep.
And we provide that service where they drop them off at a particular point and then walk them back into so it's like, a walking bus. Yeah.
Well,
so,
I guess it's trying to provide any sort of, normalcy outside of what they have, in their home school, for example, when they are discharged, to keep that continuity as well. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, the hospital school is able to provide that kind of normal, student life. I think even with the high school kids as well, I think that's really important for them because they're pretty much around medical talk and around health talk and around, all of that. So when they come to school and they enter our classroom, it is pretty much you're at school.
Yeah, business as usual.
You've got to sign in, you've got to do the role, you've got to,
have a bit of banter.
Yeah. All of those things. So that's what for us, that's the main thing. So it is, again, around the well-being of the student.
Yeah, excellent. And I can imagine, a lot of people weren't aware of hospital schools to begin with, and potentially that don't even know the other array of options of schools for specific purposes in our system. So to list off, we've got a whole range of settings. We have juvenile justice settings, we've got environmental education centres, we've got schools for specific purpose that focus on particular needs. So students could have, an IM or diagnosis, students with physical disabilities as well. It could be a mix within a school environment. I think there's so much to see across our system, let alone having, our supported areas within mainstream schools as well. So the skills and experience that you can gain in an SSP aren't just unique to, being able to apply them to the setting. You can apply them across the full spectrum of schools in our system.
Can I just say, as a, initial, teacher, beginning teacher, it's actually really exciting to hear all of the different schools that we have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I feel, when they are becoming a teacher or they are the inkling to become a teacher, they only think of a school as being a mainstream school.
Right,
So they don't actually think that there's all of these other opportunities available.
Yeah. Ready and waiting.
Yeah, exactly. And the sales pitch, I would say, is, every day is different.
Yeah.
You're never going to get the same day. And all those types
That's
of schools.
what's magic about this career as well.
Yeah.
I like the fact that every day is different.
Yes.
And
Keeps it interesting.
Not that there's just SSPs that make each day different. We've got schools that specialise in creative and performing arts, schools that specialise in languages, distance education schools, selective high schools, opportunity classes within our primary settings. So there's a whole spectrum of school settings, and I think that that's what makes the public school system so unique. Is
There's
that
something for everyone.
Yeah, if there's something you really align with, it's out there for you, which is really exciting to me.
So, I mean, if you're wanting to do the mid-career change and get out of the office and jump into one of those schools, I mean, go for it. I mean, that was what drew me to wanting to become a teacher. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting having that mid-career changer lens. What kind of skills do you feel that you had, going through? You said you never really followed your heart to begin with, but everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So what sort of skills did you learn in your previous career that you've brought into your teaching career?
Yeah, I think one of the key things was surprisingly being able to speak to people.
Yeah.
And that's sort of surprising.
Yeah.
I think the confidence in the years that I had in corporate world and corporate life, you speak to everybody, but it kind of builds up that resilience with confidence, with just also, if you need to say no, you've got that confidence to say no, but you also have the capacity then to like change and have that fluidity. And so for me, I think the confidence to speak to people and how to speak to people, life experience, I think was the most valuable thing. That's kind of the skills that I've brought over from the corporate world into into school.
Your future classrooms.
And you're working with a different audience typically. I feel that the fact that you can get up in front of a class and be silly and be who you really are, you know, making those types of lessons engaging for your students, it's one of the elements of teaching that is so special. Like, you're not going to be sitting at your desk wearing 20 different costumes trying to explain, you know, some sort of economic forecast concept. But you can do that. You can do that in the classroom.
That was the thing that I was actually pretty scared of, actually, becoming a teacher. I was like, well, how am I going to go from like this corporate person to being like in front of a kids? Like, how am I going to relate to the kids? And then I've realized over the time that I'm just a big kid in an adult's body, and that's just how it is. So that's how I relate to all the kids. So I think that was the initial hurdle, the thing that I was most scared of, that I was like, I'm going to come into this position and go like, okay, now how do I speak to the, like, it just didn't make any sense. So, but after that initial hurdle, it was fine.
You're feeling more confident
Big
now.
kid in an adult's body. Yes.
I love that. And we need more specialists within our school setting. So I would encourage career changes. If you're, you know, specialised in one area, you've potentially been an accountant for many years. How can you bring those skills back into the classroom? You know? A chef, a trade, like a tradesperson. How can you bring those skills back into another profession? Teaching is that profession. You've got those specialised skills, and we want you to be able to, you know, shape the future generation and bring that into the classroom.
But I also think it's about being an example, right? Because you've come in from what you thought was going to be your career, and, you know, you've gone into teaching. And sometimes I feel like you could be an example. You can actually be honest with children and the students about what you did. And I can tell you, I've had many conversations with lots of students at the hospital school where they, you know, didn't know what to do with their life, and you know, that's okay. That's okay. Like, look where I am. Look, I'm here with you.
You find your feet eventually, and your feet will land in teaching.
Exactly. And so I think that's sort of something I keep in mind.
Definitely. Yeah, fantastic. What impact has it had on you in your studies? You know, while working as an SLSO, how have you found, because obviously you're at university, you're learning the theory, but you're actually in classrooms observing experienced, you know, professionals, teachers who have that years of experience under their belt. What have you sort of taken from that?
For me, it's funny, I did my prac last year, and I did that for a month. And a lot of the time that I was there, and it was a mainstream school, and it was a great experience. I absolutely loved it. And but the experience that I have in the hospital school around the well-being and behaviour side of things and the adjustments that we make was very different. And I noticed the kind of contrast there. So I was immediately already in like the mode of like adjusting something for a student,
which is great,
changing something for a student, and you know, the teacher was sort of really pleased at that, but that was just sort of really second nature to me. Like, I didn't actually have to go in and be like, you know, I didn't have to learn it. It was sort of just really instinct.
Ingrained in your
brain. Which is something that the hospital school, like the lessons that you learn there, I don't think I could ever forget what I've learned there. It's
and it's amazing because you've started off in this specialist setting. Once you're qualified, you know, if you do go on into another one of our public schools, you'll be able to take those key learnings and, you know, share those with your next team that you're a part of.
And I think what I've noticed as well, being in the hospital setting, I think we are getting first-hand information from medical experts and really first-hand knowledge of different things that the students really need. And so I guess for me, it's sort of like, well, that kind of knowledge is sort of I guess, cutting edge in some
Right.
respect.
Yeah.
So you're learning that really cutting edge behavioral techniques, strategies, adjustments, things like that you can bring into other schools.
Yeah.
And I think even around like trauma-informed practice and things like that as well, I think is really important that's our main focus at the school. So yeah, that's sort of what I want to bring when I go to a different school, or if I do decide to teach in mainstream. Yeah.
Have you been inspired by another teacher in the hospital school setting? Because having been in SSPs myself, I find that one of the unique factors is the culture of the school staff, that sort of that real feeling of community, that moral purpose that you're all there for the same reason. Have you had any inspirational moments where you've looked up to a fellow colleague?
Yeah, so my AP actually has sort of really inspired me. She comes from an SSP, traditional SSP background, because we do have a little bit of a difference between SSP and hospital school.
Of course.
But she's come from that sort of traditional SSP setting, and she sort of has inspired me to kind of look at every opportunity for learning and just look for the simplest little things.
Yeah.
It could really make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to become a teacher in the first place. So yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. I know. I'm really enjoying hearing this like firsthand experience. And I suppose I'd love to know, because you have had your start in such a unique setting, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, what makes it so rewarding? Why is it so unique?
Because I don't think when you're in that setting, you think about the students and the struggles, just the students isolated. But then you think about then the wraparound of the parents and what they have to go through. And I think for me, I find that sort of what drives what I do.
Yeah.
Because you are not just making a difference for that one student, you're also making a difference for their parents, their grandparents, and then ultimately their siblings sometimes.
Yeah.
So they come to our school because they're coming in from New Caledonia, they're coming in from interstate, they're coming in from other places in the state. And so for me, I look at that and I think that's how I'm going to make a difference.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just looking after that one student. It's everything that comes along with their journey that they're currently on, being in hospital. Yeah.
Exactly. So if that's for me is why I think that's how I make a difference every day. Yeah.
Definitely. And how have you been applying this back into your studies? Do you think it's helped you working in this environment? What have you been bringing back?
Yeah, but it does. For me, I think being in this environment has opened up opportunities where I can see how certain when you make adjustments or you differentiate, right, it actually does make a difference with their learning.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I can only sort of judge this based off what I was doing on prac, right?
Yeah.
When I was on prac, you differentiate, but sometimes you don't see the immediate change. And I think when you're in the midst of study and you're doing all these assignments and you have to do a lesson plan and units and you have to plan everything and you're writing everything down, I can actually sort of visualize what that looks like.
Yeah, how that would work if I put yourself in the classroom.
It's not just pen to paper for you.
It's not just pen to paper. Like, I'm actually like going through and going, okay, if this student has this is what can happen. This is what I can change. This is the adjustments I can make. I can differentiate it this way. I can. So they're the kind of possibilities, and when I'm doing things with my study, that's where my mind goes. So yeah, it's very
what I'm hearing is there's only benefits to becoming an SLSO while you're doing your degree.
Listen, I always say this as well. I don't think I would have ever been able to get through this whole transition without being an SLSO.
Yeah.
Because it really does open you up to knowing what it's actually like. And before you actually finish your degree, knowing that is so important, because, you know, some people go through uni and get to the end and then get into a school and they go, wow, this is actually what it's like.
Having that additional time
Yeah.
working as an SLSO.
100%.
I did it myself as well, and I'm
Yeah.
such an advocate for the experience that it gave me.
Yeah.
Like it also opened so many classroom doors with experienced teachers for me to be in their room and to learn from them. Because often you only get, if you do a Masters of Teaching, for example, you would have possibly less practicum experiences than if you're doing a Bachelor of Education.
Yeah.
So it just gives you that exposure, more
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So you feel classroom ready.
And sometimes I feel like being an SLSO, because you are sort of shadowing students sometimes and you're really observing what their behavior is and like what the, you can sort of sometimes see their thoughts as well.
Yeah.
I feel like. And that's why I think it's sort of really important to have that really good relationship with your teachers and the teachers knowing that they can trust.
Yeah.
Have that trust there. I think that's so important. So
Well, typically we hear from on the couch from like currently qualified teachers about how they can best utilise their SLSO in the classroom. Can we flip that? How can a teacher support you as an SLSO? Like, what's a great experience for you that you think we can get the most out of you? How can we do that?
yeah, I'm sort of thinking about my time last year. I was working in the primary setting of my school, and the teachers in there were great. And they really offered, I think for me, being an SLSO, looking at that from a teacher's perspective, I think it's also giving a little freedom. Because sometimes like teachers have a very specific way they want something to be done a certain way. But if there's enough trust there, if you're open, I think just having a little bit of freedom just to be able to move a little bit, I think. That's the advice I would give to any teachers out there who want to utilise their SLSOs. Sometimes it's about letting them have a little bit of freedom with building rapport and building that relationship with the student because, that can be valuable,
Absolutely. So would you say that, a key component of that successful working relationship between teachers and SLSOs in the classroom would be that open communication?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you advocate for like having 5 minutes together before you
what
jump
do you
into
thrive on?
something?
Yeah.
Like what helps you to do your best in your role?
Definitely open communication. Definitely, I feel like having a briefing beforehand is really important because the last thing you want is to go into a position where you know nothing about this student and they're like,
Who are you? Yeah.
who are you? And I think that's really important. I think the briefing and giving really specific things, this may work, like open-ended, this may work for you. Maybe try that.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately then giving a lot of freedom.
I would say the briefing is a great thing to do. Like I remember even when I was working as an SLSO, particularly when I was doing more casual work and then I was sort of more at somewhere that I was there all the time. I would go and visit the teacher in the morning. Not dissimilar to what you sort of do when you are a casual teacher. Or teaching casually, I should say. Go and have a chat with them. That 5 minutes can make the worth of you being in the class so different.
Yes.
And such a vastly different experience for the students and the teacher in the room as well.
Absolutely. And it is different for every school. Like for me, for example, we are pretty much assigned to a space.
Yeah.
But, when I was in prac and doing prac, SLSOs changed and moved. And so I think the thing that I did observe the most was, those SLSOs that came in and just had that quick 5-minute chat before the start of the day.
Makes all the difference.
Made a lot of difference. Yeah, definitely.
That's good advice. And you're soon to graduate. What are your big plans? What's next in your world?
Yeah, so I'm going to graduate at the end of the year, hopefully.
Congratulations.
Crossed.
You will.
Yes, I will.
Put it out there.
For me, I think sort of when I think after that, being at the hospital, it has inspired me to sort of look into special education and specialise in that sort of field.
Excellent.
So I think I probably will head down that road. Yeah. But initially, mainstream might be an option first, just to sort of get my experience and my knowledge of how a mainstream school functions and
what the curriculum looks like.
Exactly. And I think that that's a big thing for me is the content as well, like being able to teach content and just all the general anxiety one feels as a
beginning teacher.
Pre-service teacher. Yeah.
You've got your whole career ahead of you, and I think what's so great is the variety of school contexts that you can work in. I feel that, you kind of go from strength to strength. Like for me personally, I started in one particular setting, a selective high school, which had its own set of strengths that I needed to tap into. Then when I moved to a junior campus, a co-ed school, some students with low SES areas and lower capabilities in literacy attainment, I felt like I had to tap into a whole new skill set, and I was a better teacher because of it. There's no use in, everyone has a niche and everyone has a strength, but sort of challenging yourself to go outside of that comfort zone builds you and makes you become a better teacher in my own experience, certainly.
And I think you mentioning that as well, I think it's sort of really important because they're things that you don't know also as like a pre-service teacher, so you don't know that there's are these sort of strands that you could really specialize in, particularly at certain schools, and that you just don't know. So I think every possibility is there to kind of explore and look at what you can do. So
Definitely. Well, do you have any advice to other people in your scenario, other people who are currently studying and, maybe need a bit of a pep talk from you? What advice can you give to them?
I think the advice that I would give, and this is the advice that I would give myself back in when I first started, is to just be kind to yourself. And I know that sounds like a really cliche thing to say, but you are learning, like you are a student. You are going to learn lots of different things. Every day is not going to be perfect. And this is what I say to myself, and I have to say to myself every day, is every day is not going to be perfect. You're going to just run with it. As much as the children are learning and the students are learning, you're learning just as much. That's the advice I would give to everyone in the position of starting out there.
Don't expect to know it all.
Exactly. You're not going to know it all.
And I feel like you'd probably hear the same advice from an experienced teacher,
Absolutely.
a seasoned vet. I feel like they would probably say the same thing because as the educational landscape changes, that's just a given. What's the saying? The only thing that's certain is change. I think that, being able to be flexible and kind to yourself and adapt as each day moves on, that's what makes you a professional.
Well, one of the things we at the hospital school that we like to sort of say is to be fluid. Fluidity. You kind of, nothing's going to be set in stone. Everything changes. So again, that's exactly the advice I'd give, is just to remember that.
I always say to my students, like, I expect all of you to be lifelong learners, and the one thing I can, hope that you move forward with is just be curious, ask questions, continue wanting to learn and grow and understand more. So if I expect that from my little people, I expect it from myself as well.
Adam, you mentioned when you were on your placement in a mainstream setting, your supervising teacher kind of was really impressed that you had that knack for differentiating in the classroom. How do you feel the hospital school has benefited your ability to differentiate for students at all levels? Because at its core, differentiation is best practice teaching.
Of course.
And in a hospital school, it's really elevated on another level, more than you probably would ever see in your mainstream classroom. So how do you feel that experience has benefited you professionally?
I think it's benefited me greatly, but if you were to sort of unpack that, sometimes, like I mentioned before, I think it comes down to understanding where the child or the student is at. So when you look at that and you try and match where they are, that could be they may not be able to write. They physically cannot write something. So you as a teacher have to be able to teach something or get something out of their learning as some kind of evidence or, and you have to be creative. So that could be, they can speak, right? So let's record. Let's.
Just because they can't write doesn't mean they can't communicate their learning their thinking.
What they're thinking. Or it could be that they may not be able to hear something. So how can we use technology? how can we use technology for them to be able to learn what we're teaching?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, again, to come down to being creative in that differentiation.
Yeah.
And again, when I'm at the hospital school, to bring those skills in was again, yeah.
And I think everything you've said really lends to knowing your students and how they learn and how we support them to best learn.
Yeah,
and to be successful.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So you touched on before technology and assisted technology. I'm so curious, how do you use technology in the hospital school?
So we have robots.
Wow.
A student can actually log on their device and log on to a robot in the classroom.
Wow.
And it's like a screen. They're in the classroom. You can speak to them like we are now, and you're basically teaching them what you would in a normal classroom, but they're on the ward and they're holding their device and they can do the work. And so for us, technology is very important. And the kids in the classroom kind of love it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Of course.
Yeah, but in saying that, it's not seen as a distraction. It's actually it's kind of common.
Yeah.
That's sort of what, the initial conversation is. Oh, well, there's the robot. There it is. There's Sarah online with us today, and then that's it. It's like no distraction at all.
I'm picturing a robot like zooming around the wall.
Yeah.
So you think about like an iPad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you think about it's on like a pole with some.
Oh, so it
wheels.
is like
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and
just to clarify, the student comes to you via the iPad, like via iPad robot.
wow.
Correct.
So they
Wow.
join the
we
classroom.
send a link to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
They click on the link.
Yeah.
And then it basically wakes up the robot. It's like a call.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hello. And then they can join in on the activities that we have available in class.
Wow.
So that's, one of the technology for us.
Yeah, that is unique.
Very
for sure.
unique.
That is,
yeah.
wow.
And we have students that, again, they come in once or twice a week.
Yeah.
They may not be able to attend the hospital because
Physically,
they may be really sick or they're in isolation. So they log on.
That's important.
Again.
The robot comes to
and the robot
join.
comes and joins us.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. So that's...
I couldn't have even...
I'm mind blown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at one point I had a small group class. I had a small group that I was sort of teaching with my actual teacher, and I was supporting. And we had 5
students
logged in on the
logged
robot.
In as,
Wow.
And 2 in class, and
Yeah.
so technology very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
No barriers. I like it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Adam, thank you. I have learnt
Thank you.
so much. My eyes have truly been opened to, just a sneak peek of what happens inside a hospital school and how our students, no matter what they're going through, can be supported by you and your incredible staff and all the incredible support staff and teachers and leaders across our school system who are working in unique settings like your own. I feel very inspired. I also say to you, congratulations.
Thank
because
you.
You picked an incredible career and you're the right person for the job. We need,
Thank
we need
you.
more people like you. So thank you for sharing your story.
Yes.
It's been incredibly powerful, and I hope our listeners can take something away from it. No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt at
hopefully.
all.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Teach New South Wales podcast. If you loved this episode like we did, be sure to share it with a friend and spread the word. Until next time, we will see you on a future episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Teach New South Wales podcast, where we explore the dynamic world of education. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe to be notified when new episodes become available. You can find us on social media via our handle @Teach New South Wales. Until next time, keep learning, keep teaching and keep making a difference. This podcast is produced by the Teach New South Wales team from the New South Wales Department of Education.